She is a champion
of women in manufacturing.
She is passionate
About advancing technology and inspiring the next generation.
She is
The one and only Megan Zimba, and she's ready to host the Creators Lounge.
Welcome to the Creators Lounge, featuring FARO.
Hey everyone, I'm Megan Zimba, and welcome to IMTS 2024. I'm sitting in the Creators Lounge here with Will Pitarello. Hello, Will. How are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing great. You are from FARO, and I'm super excited to have you here because you guys get into a lot of cool stuff with your technology. But first off, how's the show been for you guys so far?
The show has been good. I mean, it's the first day. There's a lot on our plate. There's a lot coming, but we are excited to be here.
And I know you just told me that you've been with the company for 11 years. So can you just briefly give us some background information about how your experience is, how you got into the industry, and what your expertise is?
Absolutely. My business, I came from biotechnology, so it was a natural transition to 3D metrology. There's a lot going on in the biotech industry that is going on in metrology with automation, Industry 4.0. So FARO is a great fit. So I'm super happy with the 11 years at FARO.
So one of the things that we're going to be focusing on is 3D scanning and 3D technology, and you're like the quality control person with FARO, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
So can you give us just kind of a brief synopsis of the importance of quality control? And I don't know how many times you've been to this show. Like this is the show for future innovations, the latest and greatest. Can you kind of dive into like how it's changed and progressed over the years?
Absolutely. I mean, 3D metrology has come a long way from, if you think about the 80s, right? Fixed bed CMMs, machine that would measure in a coordinate space, right? Different than the traditional machine. So what happens is there is scanning technology, there is probing technology, there are different sizes of machines that deal with different types of parts. And obviously there is the issue with accuracy. Machines are becoming more accurate. Software is becoming much more comprehensive in the data that it collects. So that combination of hardware and software really is what's been changing and revolutionizing the industry, right? This industry was more of a niche in the beginning, but now 3D metrology becomes much more out there, and everybody's doing it.
So when we're talking about machining processes, are you specifically talking about like CNC machining, or are you talking about other types of systems? Because additive manufacturing is up and coming as well.
Yeah.
So are you guys focusing on that too?
Part of Industry 4.0, right? So 3D metrology will touch all processes of manufacturing, machining, stamping, and of course, nowadays at FARO, we have machines that can transform a cloud into a step file and a step file into CAD models, and that lends itself really nice for reverse engineering or 3D printing or anything of that sort.
So what are some of the overall benefits of 3D measurement technology, especially when you're thinking about quality control?
Megan, that's a great question. I mean, I could be sitting here talking all day long about this, but first and foremost, with 3D metrology, you will get accuracy. And precision, right? The machines are getting more precise. You're going to get accurate and increase of that. And with that comes the time, right? The time for inspection is much less than traditional tools. You're able to use software to gather a much more comprehensive data analysis. And that facilitates, for example, GD&T, which is geometric dimensioning, more sophisticated ways to measure. Also, the ability to create programs and consolidate these machines with robotics, for example, on a production line. And not to mention, obviously, the time that it takes means less cost. So you're actually getting more efficient in terms of cost.
So when it comes to the software and hardware side of things, which is more important? Like, is one more important over the other? Like, how do you balance that out?
Great question, Megan. I mean, in my mind, they are so intertwined. It's impossible in 3D metrology to make a distinction of software and hardware. They're complementing each other. They're working together. At FARO, what we think the ideal hardware is obviously something that's going to give you accuracy and precision. There is nothing else if you don't have hardware that can give you that. The durability of the hardware, because we see our machines in shop floors, in harsh environments, temperature, stability, so they need to be really, really robust. And the last thing, I think, the software has to be scalable. The hardware has to be scalable. The ability to work with different applications and parts. On the hardware thing, on the hardware part, the ability to collect lots and lots of data and what you're going to do with that data, right? Statistic process control. Are you going to be able to now, by measuring your parts, are you going to be able to understand how your process is going? So really, when you talk about hardware and software, there's not one. You could have excellent hardware, and if you don't have the software, then you have nothing, and vice versa. So they are so intertwined that they have to go hand in hand.
Now, you did mention data, and with all of these conversations around like AI and Industry 4.0, is there any conversations that FARO is having in particular with your customers on how to better organize that kind of data when it comes to their quality control? So once they're using your system, where do they start with the data that they're collecting?
Absolutely, right. Everything starts with the collection of the data, regardless of the hardware that you're using. The deliverable, what you really want is what you're going to do with that data. So at FARO, we focus on what is the value proposition for the customer, what it is they're trying to achieve. Is it reverse engineering? Is it an as-built or simply quality control? So really, the data is the most important thing that we focus on. And we see a lot going on, like you said, in additive material, a lot going on in Industry 4.0, automation, right? The use of our machines in an automated setting. So this is really what's going on lately.
So next we're going to kind of dive into anybody trying to like maybe integrate some of these systems in here. But before we get into that, we're going to take a quick break to hear from one of our sponsors, and then we'll be back to talk more with William here.
Welcome to the World According to. Join me, Peter Eelman, and Travis Egan of AMT while we travel across the U.S. and talk with leaders of the manufacturing technology industry. Meet these renowned visionaries in personal, up-close settings. Hear how their passion for manufacturing took root and has continued to fuel the ideas that shape our industry today and tomorrow. Watch now and hear how these leaders answer the question, The World According to, only on IMTS Plus.
Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm sitting here with Will Pitarello. I just love your last name. It's a great last name. And we were talking about 3D scanning and quality control, and you just answered, if the hardware or the software is more important, and they really do integrate with one another. They one can't live without the other.
Yes.
With all these advancements in technologies, though, and this I think is happening across the sector, there's companies that are really hesitant to invest in some of these technologies. When it comes to 3D scanning, why do you think some people would hesitate to invest in scanning for their quality control?
Yeah. We see that across the board, right, Megan? I guess the first thing is we don't know what we don't know, right? The first thing is we don't know how these machines can help us, how 3D metrology can actually help us. So the first thing is, as FARO Technology, we have to make sure that we educate customers on the value of 3D metrology and the ability to really measure complex parts. So I don't think customers understand that really well, because if they do, then they're going to understand how to merge with that. So the other thing is, I think customers think that there's a big learning curve for
Right.
that type of product, right? I mean, several months or years. There are products that we have that it takes only 3 or 2 days training. It's really easy technology to get into. It's not something. The other thing is there's a perception that this type of technology will substitute the human being, the person measuring with a caliber,
Right.
when it's quite the opposite, right? I mean, now using this type of technology, we more and more need qualified people to work with these machines. So all these conceptions, I think we can mitigate by making sure to customers that we are providing training, right? We are doing the customer support. And obviously, the last thing about this is I think is if we drive the value up, the value proposition, how these machines are going to improve their quality control processes, then it's easy for them to understand and not to be as reticent about going into this type of technology.
Well, I think another thing that the reason why people hesitate with some of these advanced technologies is then you hear about legacy components versus modern day components, and okay, once I invest in something, is it going to be obsolete in like 5 years? So with your type of technology, how are you continuing that support past 5 years, past 10 years? Like, are they going to have to keep like changing things out, or
Right. I mean, our products, they have a long life time, let's put it
Life
like
cycle.
this, right? Life cycle. So 10 years, 15 years. And the improvements that we have on the machines are obviously on the hardware and software side. So they're going to give you more. Once you go into 3D metrology, you will know that this is the type of let's say technology that they need, because it's going to give a more comprehensive ability to measure parts, to do reverse engineering, to do different applications across the board. So we'll definitely want to be there to support them with that. Oh, other thing that I was going to say, Megan, I just came to me, right? Customers may hesitate because of the upfront investment, but then
Right.
again, driving that, the value proposition, what they're going to be able to do with the technology, it's going to actually increase, quality and everything around their parts.
it's an investment that they can pay off
Absolutely, yeah.
sooner than later. So then I want you to put yourself in your customer's shoes. What are the top 3 things they should be thinking about when deciding if they want to use 3D measurement technology to improve their quality control?
Yeah. I mean, there are so many key factors to take that plunge, right, to go into 3D metrology. But if I had to say, take a good look at your parts, right? Look at the complexity of the parts, the size of parts, what type of tolerance you're trying to reach in your measurement needs and accuracy levels. But not only today, but what are you looking for in terms of tomorrow, right? Better accuracies or better tighter tolerances will lead to better parts. So take a good look at the parts that you have, complex geometry. They could benefit from having 3D metrology. That's number 1. Number 2, I think the technology has to be scalable and has to be flexible, be able to touch diverse applications within the industry. So you could do quality control, reverse engineering. Again, back to customers don't know what they don't know. It's up to us to tell them and how to measure that. And the last one, it's the value proposition that goes beyond, I think, that the ROI, the simple ROIs. Let's say if you're a metrology service company and you're doing a $100,000 investment, you do 10 jobs of $10,000 and you already covered your ROI. But the value proposition is much more than only that, because now you're able to do that job, in this example, much faster with higher quality, reproducibility and traceability in reports. So companies are going to be able to make parts that are better. So that is really the value proposition that incorporates that ROI and much more. So I think these are 3 very important points that customers need to look at when considering 3D metrology.
Well, William, I got one more question for you when we get back from this sponsored break. So stay tuned, because we're going to be talking about what to look forward to.
You are watching The Creators Lounge. Gain insights as our hosts talk to expert guests about key industry topics. Come see the action live on the trade show floor. Visit booth 338 600. See you at The Creators Lounge.
Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm still here with William from FARO. William, one of the questions that I have to ask you, because this is the show that's inspiring the extraordinary, what sort of things can we look forward to in terms of 3D scanning, 3D measurement for quality control, and how is FARO really inspiring the extraordinary for your customers?
Yeah, I think it's a wheel that starts turning and it's not going to stop, right? Because as technology gets improved, products get better, more accurate, more repeatable, easy to use, more accessible to everybody. So this is already happening. Now, Industry 4.0 pushes that to the limit. What we are doing at FARO, we move fast. That's one of our mottos there. So what we are doing is able to create new technology or improving upon the technologies that we have, because the industry is really going forward automation, right? I mean, the inclusion of robots in metrology, measuring parts, better data coming from scanners. So what we really try to keep on doing to the industry is pushing that innovation towards the future.
So one of the buzzwords that's everywhere is AI, artificial intelligence. So how is that kind of tying in with some of the things that you're doing?
Yeah, we think AI will have its turn on the metrology business. There's so much to be done in terms of automation and improvement of optical and lasers devices. I think it's just a matter of time for us to start including AI into this picture. But it is certainly something that is coming in the future for us.
Awesome. Well, William, this has been such a great conversation. I know it's only 15 minutes, but we packed in a lot of information within those 15 minutes. So I just want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day. It's super busy here at IMTS and sharing more information with us here at
Thank you for having me, Megan.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That concludes this episode for Creators Lounge. Stay tuned because we got a ton more interviews coming throughout the day.